Hello, my name is Hemingway Jones and I make videos about fountain pens, inks, journals, and journaling for curious people. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'd like to talk about my year in fountain pens. It was quite a year. It was a year of trying new things, making new discoveries, making new connections and friendships, and strengthening old ones. When I look back, it's with fondness. This was definitely a year of growth for me. It was a year of challenges and also of really beautiful moments. And I would just like to share it all with you briefly now as we recount the Hemingway Jones channel year in pens. So my year in pens started off with the Xinhua X159. And I've always had a bit of an issue with Xinhua. We just don't get along as well as I would like. I do keep trying. I'm still hoping we get to a point where we understand each other. But with the X159, I certainly love the way this pen feels in the hand. I love the dimensions of it. Over the course of the year, I ended up trying 3 different models. 2 of them I had issues with the nib, and 1 is pretty solid. But that's the root of my hesitation. I would love to suggest this pen for beginner fountain pen users to try out, and for anyone who wants to see whether or not they like the dimensions of a more girthy fountain pen. But my hesitation lies in the fact that the nibs are just too inconsistent for me. I just feel they should write smoothly and capably right out of the box, because beginners just aren't necessarily able to tweak their nibs the way a more experienced fountain pen user would. Nevertheless, I have a lot of admiration for Xinhua, and I'm sure I'm going to be looking at other models. We have actually one to talk about coming up in a few minutes. But sure, during the course of the following years, I'm sure Xinhua is a brand that's just going to keep making outstanding and interesting models. So from China, we go to Italy and Visconti and the Visconti Methos. In the Polo configuration, I bought this pen because it just looked so interesting. And the idea of a more entry-level Visconti was very attractive to me since I had just picked up the Homo sapiens for the previous Christmas. So very exciting to get 2 Visconti. So I really like this pen, but if I'm completely honest, I rarely reach for it. When I do go through my collection, I hold it. I love how pretty it is. I love the gentle twist of it. I just love the way it looks and feels. I liked how it uncaps, but this pen just doesn't post well, and it's just not the most fun to write with. But it is an excellent Visconti at the entry level, and I love the associations with the mythological themes. But it was certainly one of those times when I stepped out of my comfort zone. I took a chance, I bought a pen, I tried it, and I'm really proud of myself for that, and I am very glad that I own it. So another feature of this channel is that we compare fountain pens often and have a little rating system and see which one is better. And unlike channels that are trying to sell you pens, I always make a decision. I don't end it with, well, either of these pens are an excellent choice or some sort of equivocation like that. I tell you, I would choose this pen. And early on, we compared the Montblanc 149 with the Visconti Homo sapiens Bronze Age, and we scored them, and I'm going from memory here, but I'm pretty sure the Visconti won in almost every category. Nevertheless, I told you if I were to choose one, it would be the Montblanc 149. Well, now it's 10 months later. How do I feel now? The exact same way. As much as I love both pens, I would definitely choose the Mont Blanc over the Visconti. Visconti is amazing, I respect it, but that Mont Blanc has a special kind of magic, and I do like lighter pens. But that is one feature you'll see on this channel. We're always comparing things. Sometimes they're disparate. Sometimes it's a $400 pen against a $30 pen, or whatever it is. Any fountain pen is worthy of consideration against another. So you will see that going forward. So now we return back to Xinhua with the Xinhua 82. And this was one of those times when I felt like Xinhua really shined. The Xinhua 82 has a really nice dimension and feel. It's a very elegant pen, feels really good in the hand. I had two initially, and then a lovely member of the channel ended up sending me a third. So I now have three. Out of those, really 2.5 are really excellent. One of the nibs was a little wonky, but still wrote fine. But two of them are just exquisite. So I definitely have more warm feelings toward the 82, and I do like the dimensions. And in fact, part of my pen journey over this last year has been that I've really shifted from larger, thicker, more girthy pens to slimmer, elegant, more refined pens. I don't know why this happened, but just aesthetically and even comfortably, I just like thinner pens now. For instance, I find myself reaching more for my Mont Blanc 146 than my 149. And I just think that dimension of a 146 is just perfect. So you change with time, you evolve, and you go in interesting and new directions. So we had a lot of fun in March when I released my first Dark Academia video. This is an aesthetic that's out in the internet. A lot of people are really getting involved in it. It's a lot of fun. And I realized that it's just sort of how I live my life anyway. So it's sort of fun when you find yourself within a stream of something that's going on. Basically celebrates the study of obscure languages and intellect and museums and things like that. It's super fun, and we had a really good time by picking 5 perfect fountain pens for Dark Academia. And I did some follow-up videos as well, including inks, which I'm really excited about, and one that shows how I develop my handwriting. So it's a fun thing. I think you'll see that going forward in some form or another in the channel, because it's just basically who I am. So it's kind of nice that some people are actually along for that ride as well. Another fountain pen we discovered this year was the Piniter Avatar Twin Tank Touchdown. It is a brilliant pen. It was given to me by Brendan Schmidt. He sent this pen over. It's a very interesting pen. It's a demonstrator. It might perhaps be the perfect travel pen. That actually sounds like a title of a video. You might see that going forward. But a very fun pen, another really interesting one. We got into it, we did a full review, and I still find myself reaching and traveling with that fountain pen. It is absolutely brilliant. In April, we touched on why vintage fountain pens are so amazing, and to be honest, I feel like I haven't done enough on vintage fountain pens, because truly, if you want a gold nib for a very good price, you want a unique writing experience, it's hard to beat vintage fountain pens. The big drawback is that many of them are a little bit more delicate, and so as you go out into the sunshine, as I like to urge everyone to do with their fountain pens, a vintage fountain pen may not always be the best choice. However, you have to weigh that. If you're writing at home, it's just brilliant. There's so many great choices out there. There's so many sellers out there providing high quality versions that are restored that you can write with confidence. So I think in the months and years to come, we're going to put a little bit more emphasis on vintage fountain pens because I just adore them. I love the history, everything else. So look for that on this channel. One of the things I really enjoy doing on this channel is expressing things in very unique ways, and in June, I introduced this concept of mac and cheese fountain pens. These are those fountain pens that are your comfort, cozy ones that when you're home and you wrap yourself up in a blanket, which pen do you reach for that just gives you that feeling of home and comfort and just reassurance? And I had a whole list, and I think that changes over time, and I've referred to it many times during the year, and I think you'll see things like that going forward. Good Guy inks, for instance, that's something else. I'm not just rickrolling you. It's a concept that I invented for those inks that are harmless, that won't hurt vintage pens, won't hurt your more expensive pens, that are just reliable, solid, you can use them in any pen. In fact, I haven't made a Good Guy inks video yet, but I can assure you, you will see that very early in the coming year. So also in June, I released a video called My Flex Pen Quest Ends, and I think that title was probably a bit premature, but it did wrap up this narrative of my Montblanc 146. It started when I first unboxed it, and I was like, wow, this is really exciting. I can't wait. I think this is an amazing pen. To profound disappointment as I wasn't really able to use it effectively. It felt stiffer than I was expecting. And then as I wrote with it more and more, I took a calligraphy class, I started to understand a bit more how it works. I started to really love it.
Yes, I understand its power now.
And I think at the time I thought, well, this is the be-all for Flex. Little did I know that plucky Magna Carta would come out with this extraordinary Mag 600 fountain pen at the end of the year. And I think that pen is truly a Flex monster. And that is a title coming up in the coming months on my channel that you will see which fountain pens are the Flex monsters. That is how this channel works. It's an ongoing narrative, it's unfolding, it carries through to multiple videos. So over the summer, we did a top 5 list of the top 5 best fountain pens for summer travel. I think you'll see that continue. Top 5 lists are always fun, and you try to refine things down to like the 5 best, especially going from a very large collection or a large set of something that you have a lot of experience with. So any of the favorite pens, which are always changing, or the best pens for a certain function. And I'm someone who obsesses over that. So I'm someone that I'm like, I'm going to a loan closing today. Which is the perfect fountain pen for how I'm dressed and how I feel about myself? Or if I'm wearing tweed, I'm heading to a museum. What is the perfect fountain pen for that? Super fun to do those. I think you'll see it going forward. Another huge pen on this channel this year was the Caveo Bronze Sport. That pen had a profound effect on me. My wife bought it for me for my birthday, and I took it with me to the Met. I made one of what I think is one of my best videos ever, and I just really got into the materials, the idea of bronze and how it's been used historically. And it's such a glistening, textural, amazing substance to hold in your hand. It's absolutely beautiful in a fountain pen. I'm really proud of how that video came out, and I just love and adore that pen, and it's absolutely brilliant for travel. While in New York, I wanted a fountain pen that I could buy there and remember the trip. And in typical Hemingway Jones channel fashion, that doesn't mean that you drop $1,000 on some exquisite pen. I ended up spending about $35, which was a bit too much for what it was, but that's okay, for a Lami Vista, which I absolutely adore. There's something about making a Safari transparent that for me elevates it to a different level. It just feels a bit more magical, a little more like crystalline. I just adore that pen, and I'll always think of when I bought it and how much fun I had with my wife and daughter in one of the greatest cities in the world. Absolutely brilliant. I'll briefly mention that in August, I invited my wife to join the channel, and we did our first of cool or not cool videos, which are super fun because it's always interesting to get another perspective. And my wife, as an art appraiser, really brings a unique and intense and informed point of view to this channel. And of course, it's a little silly to rate pens whether or not they're cool or not cool. It's totally subjective, but that's part of the point. It's really about our connection, kind of celebrating our love for each other and just our opinions and how we debate things. So it's super fun. I think I'll do it again in the coming year, maybe next summer. It seems to fit in that summer vibe. But it's definitely something you'll see going forward on this channel. Maybe we'll do inks or something else as well. So super fun. October was an excellent month. The good folks at Esterbrook sent along an Esterbrook SD Raven that was absolutely brilliant. There was something about it being blacked out that just made it that much edgier and fun. It made it really have this sort of goth feeling to it, certainly timed with Halloween and all that, but also makes it look quite professional for any kind of business setting. It just is so sleek and beautiful and fun to use, and Esterbrook always puts out a consistently amazing product. So that was a fun time. October also saw the release of a long-awaited review from me, and that is the Lami 2000. In a big way, this was the year of the Lami 2000 for me. It started off early when I stated that there were certain pens I would never buy, and I believe I also said I would never own them. And then cheekily, Brendan Schmidt sent it along with one of my orders, this pen. Just lovely gesture of friendship. Touches me deeply every time I think about it. And it's just so fun that I had the opportunity to dig in with this fountain pen. And I do quite like it. I was a little critical of a couple of things, but it's still a pen I reach for. In fact, it's next to me right now. I do enjoy using it, and I admire its history. So it is a really interesting, fun pen. I think you will see much more from it in the months and years to come. So I know I mentioned it earlier, but I'd like to cap off this video by speaking a little bit about Magna Carta and that amazing Mag 600, where they went back and sort of deconstructed and re-engineered a vintage-like flex nib. And I think by and large, they were wholly successful. It is super fun to write with. It'll be interesting to see how it breaks in. And you're certainly going to see more about that fountain pen in the months to come. It is absolutely amazing. So that's my year in fountain pens. Wow, what a year it's been. And now we're looking ahead to another year and even more discoveries, more interesting places to go. That is the idea of this channel. From a fountain pen, you can go anywhere. So come along with us. So if you've reached this point in this video and you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd love to have you along on this journey with us. So if you'd like to support this channel even more, consider membership. Membership helps to keep the lights on and keeps this channel viable because we're small. This is a small niche. YouTube doesn't pay much attention to us, so your support certainly helps. So I make new videos all the time, and I do have a live show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. So I promise you, we will see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care of yourself, and Happy New Year.